Hello everyone, this is Frank from Apple One-to-One. Today we're going to go over getting started with Apple numbers in 2026. So the first thing we're going to do, obviously, let's open numbers. We want to do a new document. You'll notice here it automatically goes to all templates. The first section here are templates that are available to you if you are an Apple Creator Studio member. This is going to cost you $13 a month or $129 a year, and these are only available if you are a member of that. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to just use the basic template, a blank, and we're going to open that. And we're going to explain what a sheet is and how you can do certain things with a sheet. A sheet is, think of it as a piece of paper. You have columns across the top, A through G in this case, and it's separated by rows from row 1 through 22. Each of the locations, meaning this one, C11, is a particular what they call a cell. Now, the first row is a dark gray, and that is there because most people in this case would use this to put labels, as you would in column A. So, for our session today, we're going to do January, February. Now, if I highlight both of those, one of the things numbers will do for you is if you see that yellow dot, click on it, drag it across. Now you have January through June, and it will fill it for you automatically. Now suppose we want a total. This icon right here, these double vertical lines, click on it and drag it over. Alright, so there, now we have column H. And here we can then put in, let's say we want a total. So, we have January through March and then a total. If we want all of these headings in the center of each of the columns, you would go over to, this is your format button, go over to text, center. And of course, if you wanted to change the look of it, right now it's in bold, you could italicize it, you could underline it. All of those items are available to you here through the format. The next thing we would want to do is we would go to cell and we say your data format is automatic, meaning whenever you put something in, it's just automatically going to try to figure out what it is and accommodate that particular cell. But in this particular case, we want these to be in numbers. So I'm going to highlight that row and go all the way over to the total column. And then I'm going to click on data format. And I'm going to say I want it in, you could do currency, which would put dollar signs in there if you wanted, but let's just say we want a number. And notice it says decimals automatic. We're going to make it 2. And if you have negative numbers, I like to show them in red with parentheses. And then I also like to use a thousand separator. So when you do that, all of these cells are all going to have that format. So in January, if I put in $250, you see it shows the decimals. In column A, you can put different categories of items. PS, E, C, and G. You can do gas. You do food, entertainment. You know, whatever other items you think you may want to put in a budget. So let's just say gas, you're going to do $150 a month, or that if that's a budget amount, or if you want to do your actual amount, so you can take your receipts when you fill up your car with gas and then calculate that number and put it in here. Food, you're going to do $350, and entertainment maybe $175. So we have a header, column A, and row 1 are headers. So if we go over to the table, notice that in this area it says headers and footers. So here you have one column, one row, nothing for the footers. So if you click on 22, come in here and make 1. Now you have row 22 as a footer. And if you add rows by dragging this down, you notice that it puts it above the footer. And we'll just label this monthly total. How do you get these to total into here? You click in there, you hit equal sum. You click on this sum here, and we can move this out of the way, and you say, okay, put in your values. So if you click on the first value, you see it highlights it in a color, and these buttons, you just click on it, drag it down, only to the cell before your total. You cannot include a total in a formula, you'll get an error. Notice the formula says B2 through B24. Click on the check mark. Now you have your total. You can continue to add items down the left hand side. You can put in your amounts across the months, and then you can, if you wanted to see what the total was for the first 6 months of PSC&G, you would do basically the same thing. Equal sum, and again drag it across, and B2 through G2 this time, and it's going to give you an amount. So you would total the row across, and you would total the column down. Also, if you hover over that cell, you'll see that yellow dot. If you just drag that down to here, release it, it is going to give you a formula. If you look down here, it says B8 through G8. We're in 8, B8 through G8. So it replicated that formula and made it relative to the column and row that it was in. Very helpful. Down here in monthly totals, you can do the same. See that little yellow dot? Drag it across. Boom. Now this cell, you can either drag this all the way across, and you'll get a total for the total, all right? Or you could have totaled it down. Sometimes what people like to do, they'll add one more cell so that that one cell will total it across, and as a verify, it'll total it down, and of course your numbers should match. That essentially is what a spreadsheet is. It's to track any kind of items. You can add a sheet. See, a sheet, this is your first sheet, and you have a table within a sheet. You can label this table. You can make it, we'll just call it budget. So you could take this sheet, hit the drop down, rename, and call it budget. Now, if you wanted to add another sheet, you hit the plus sign. In any of the Apple programs, every time you see a plus sign anywhere, typically you're going to add something. So now this you could call summary. And we're not going to, really get into this, but this just to show you what you can do. So you make this a summary table, and you can bring totals over from this. If you wanted to bring just this total and this total into that summary table, you could. And we'll get to that in a later session. Over to the right, the percentage, this table is blown up to 120%, 125%. You can click on 100. This is important because the more rows and columns you add, sometimes you want to try to get as much as you can on the screen. So you're going to try to adjust this smaller so you can see all your items. Your paperclip is to add something. You can choose an image, a movie, audio file to add to this particular spreadsheet. If you click on it, you'll see the first 3 items are in purple. That is because those are part and parcel of the Apple Creator Studio, and they are not available to you if you are not a member. But you can choose a photo from your photo library, you can create an image, music, so on and so forth. Your next one is you can add a shape, text box. All right, you can you can bend them. You can add all of this stuff. This Next one is to add a text box. Notice it put the text box right here. You just take it and drag it wherever you like, expand it, put in whatever text you want. This is to create graphs, 2D graphs, 3D graphs. This is to show you what styles are available to you if you wanted to change or create a table with a particular style. And that gets us started. So this item, if you wanted to change the format of your table, you click on it, everything becomes that style. Cell, this pertains to the cells. Could pertain to a singular cell or to multiple cells. If you highlight them and drag it over, now whatever you do here in terms of fill, border lines, all of that will pertain to this group of cells. Your text is going to be any text style that you have in here. You can change the style. You can, like up here, if you highlight your rows, so your style is bold, italicized, underline, you can change the text color you want, if you want it to be black on the blue. And so you have all of this. You want to change the point size, you can change the point size. So you can adjust your sheet any way you like. I hope that gets us started in what you can do with numbers in 2026. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know, and we'll talk to you soon.
Like and subscribe to the Apple One-to-One training channel for new Apple tips and tutorials every single week.